Obviously, this is a story about the grassroots, people online, finding a weakness for people who are the elite, who are the people who control the market, the big hedge fund players. And it's a battle between the two of them, and it's the grassroots against the elites. And this didn't come out of nowhere, Wilfred. This came out of a society where there is dramatic, historic inequality in income and assets, and an enormous amount of anger over that. And therefore, there was a grassroots prairie fire that lit up at the chance to go after a rigged system and the people who were rigging it. And that's why this was a big story nationally, because it was about economic justice and the little guy taking on the big guys and then having the system change itself to protect the big guys.
But do you think that that is a fair summation of exactly what happened here? It may well be right that the people who have made the biggest gains here are the little guy, as you're saying, but the people that have made the biggest losses, are they not quite a concentrated small part of the market that happen to be short a handful of stocks? It's not really the Wall Street establishment that's been taken down here, is it? It's just a small focused area, and the rest of us are all just observers.
Well, I do think the rest of us are just observers, Wilfred, but I do also think that the people who were short this stock actually are big players. The people who came in to rescue them are big players. The system itself, through Robinhood, changed the rules to protect them. And the anger over that is very much about a broader anger in society about a rigged system. I mean, as you know, high-speed trading has been in place for a long time. It's basically a way for big players to clip everybody else in the market, and no one's ever done a thing about it. So I think you've got to look at a bigger picture. This isn't just a small little part of the market with a couple of groups, in conflict. This really is about a society where people are furious. You can see it politically. You can see it across the board. Why did AOC and Ted Cruz both agree that there was something going on here? Because this is a story about populism and about little guys in a society that is really unfair trying to strike back.
Well, because both of them are trying to make this story about populism and make it about the wealth inequality, Tom, it's coming from an unlikely source, because didn't you make $1 billion running a hedge fund, buying all sorts of distressed assets? That rigged system served you well.
When I was running for president, Sarah, I was pushing for a wealth tax. And the reason I was pushing for a wealth tax is because the system as it stood that benefited me, I thought was profoundly unfair. I was saying, in effect, tax me more. I understand this isn't right and it's not supportable. And we need to change the rules of the road so that the average American participates much more fully. That's really what this is about. And when I was running for president, I was saying a lot of things that would, the idea of paying more taxes. Most people don't say that. I said that because it's important to understand. I get it.
This idea of a wealth tax that you just brought up, Elizabeth Warren, the senator, also brought this up on our show in a conversation a few days ago talking about Robinhood and the retail frenzy. I'm not sure how a wealth tax would curb the influence of large hedge fund investors rigging the stock market, as you claim. Why are you linking these two issues?
I'm linking them because it's about economic justice. The background, the reason that this prairie fire took off was a background of decades of increasing and very unjust economic inequality in our society, where all of the gains of society were going to the richest people. And so the reason that I was talking about a wealth tax is the status quo is not acceptable. And in fact, what we see and what we saw in this case was the status quo, the people running it, act to preserve the status quo. And in fact, we need to understand there's something here that is very unfair, and it really can't last. And I think the big job of the Biden administration is to convince Americans that government can work for them again. That's why, it's really important for people like me to say, look, this system isn't right. I've benefited from it. I want to change the system in ways that will hurt me, but will make the system much more stable, much more fair, and will give the average American a fair share again. That's really why this was a big story. That's why they are linked, and that's what I've been trying to say.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.